Hey guys, it's Jen. I'm back again with another video. So for today I'm going to talk a bit about Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So I finally read this book. It took me so long to get around to reading it, and I don't know why it took me so long, because I was looking forward to this book so much. I pre-ordered this book. That's how much I was looking forward to it, because I absolutely love the Grisha trilogy. So essentially, when I saw that Leigh Bardugo was releasing another book in the same universe, I knew that I had to get my hands on it. So I pre-ordered it. There was a whole bunch of hype about this book. It was so hyped up, and maybe that's what made me back away from it for a little while, because I didn't end up picking this up until April, and the end of April, and I really should have picked it up sooner, because I absolutely love this. It definitely lived up to the hype for me. So if you don't know what this book is about, it's about a criminal prodigy named Kaz Brecker, and he is putting together a crew to pull off a heist that is supposed to be impossible. And if you need something done that is impossible, Kaz is the one you ask. So it's very different from the Grisha trilogy in that they're kind of the bad guys, kind of, because I mean, they are criminals, they're stealing, and yeah, that's considered bad, right? This book itself is absolutely beautiful. I mean, the black pages, and it's got maps. Anytime I open a book with a map, I know I'm in for a good time. It's got 2 maps, so that's even better. Since I pre-ordered this, I got a book plate that was signed, which is awesome because I live in New Brunswick and nobody ever comes to New Brunswick, so we don't have, I don't get author signatures unless I get a book that's already signed, or if I somehow get a book plate to put in my book. So that's essentially the only way that I can get an author's signature. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So if you haven't read this, you probably want to leave and stop watching the video, because there's probably going to be some spoilers, because it's just so good, and there's some things that I just have to talk about. So this book is told in multiple points of view, which is actually something that I really enjoy. I'm weird that way, and I really like seeing what's going on in everybody's heads. So I really enjoy a book when it is a multiple points of view. This book does take place in a different setting than the Grisha trilogy. This book takes place on an island called Kerch, and the city is Ketterdam, and it's essentially not a very good place for Grisha. One of the main characters is a Grisha, and she essentially, if you're a Grisha, you end up being a slave. So when reading this book, you get points of view from Kaz, Nina, Inej. I think her name is pronounced Inej. It's I-N-E-J. So I think it's Inej. I'm not sure. Matthias and Jesper. There is another one in the crew named Wyland, but I don't remember ever reading anything from his point of view. So I'm thinking maybe in the next book, because there was some stuff that happened at the end that was kind of interesting surrounding him. So I'm pretty sure he might have a point of view in the next book. But the way it is written, it was just so good. I really enjoyed Inej's character. She's essentially a spy, and she is super quiet. Nobody ever hears her, so she does a lot of Kaz's spy work. They are part of a gang called the Dregs, and Kaz is essentially in charge of it. He's not really in charge. There is somebody who's higher than him, but Kaz does all the work, and he brings in all the money for the gang. All the characters have a different background, obviously. I don't know how it is that Leigh Bardugo does it, but just the way she writes, it just pulls me in and I can't stop. So I started reading this, and it was so hard to put this book down, and I loved it so much. So yeah, I'm gonna gush a lot. When the book starts, they're meeting up with the leader of another gang to try and form a truce. It doesn't really go too well for one of the sides. Essentially, when you first start off, you're getting to see some of the action that you're in for, and then Kaz is snuck up on, which never happens to him. So that was surprising to him, and he's offered a deal that he can't really refuse. He's offered a job for 30 million Kruge, which is their currency in this world, and he can't say no to 30 million. So he takes on this task, and he gathers 5 others to his group, and to get one of their group, he's actually he's in jail, so they have to break into a jail to break him out and not get caught, and then go to the ice court, which is where the thing that they need to steal is. Essentially, they're stealing a person who is being held by the ice court because he's made a drug that enhances Grisha's ability, and like super enhances Grisha's ability, and it's super addictive, and once the Grisha are on it, they're so hooked on it, and it just like eats away their life, and they just fade away essentially. Their power just drains them because they have so much power. It's ridiculous. So they're going to steal this person that knows how to make it, and then to get him away from the Fjordans, who are essentially Grisha hunters. They hunt Grisha down and they kill them. They arrest them and they have a trial for them, and it usually ends in death for the Grisha. But one of their members, Matthias, who is the one that they have to break out of jail, is a Fjordan. So they're kind of using him to go to his own home city and break in, because he knows everything, and he's not too keen on that because he's a very loyal soldier. And yeah, it's really amusing. I think my favorite character is probably Inej, just because her and Nina, they're both really kick-ass female characters. Nina, not quite as much as Inej, who is just an amazing character, and I absolutely loved her. So they have to do all this crazy stuff to get this heist done, and of course everything that can go wrong pretty much goes wrong while they're doing it. So you don't know exactly what's going to happen, and I was laughing so hard because there's one point the Fjordan have a whole bunch of weapons in a room in their jail where they're like showing off their might. There's a tank, and during part of the getaway, a couple of them, because they get all split up, a couple of them have like the Fjordan army coming in, and they're like, well, what can we do to get out? And then essentially Inej jumps in the tank, and they steal the tank, and they blow their way through this unbreakable glass, and they're just going down the road as fast as they can, escaping after they've shot at this military army. So Kaz and Matthias and Nina, who got separated from the other 3, are going onto the road to go to their meetup place, and they hear this noise, and they look up, and there's this tank barreling down on them, and it's their friends, and they're got this banner streaming behind them, and the whole army is just behind them, chasing them. And it was so freaking hilarious. I was reading this as we were driving in the car, and I started laughing so hard. My husband's just like, what are you laughing at? And I tried to explain it to him, but he didn't think it was as funny as I did. But I just thought it was really funny that they stole their tank and shot at them and then ran away. But then there's like one point where you don't think they're actually going to get away, but I mean, you assume they're going to get away, but you're not sure if they're going to get away, and it's all just crazy, but they do end up getting away. So this book, I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I'm really sad now that this is just a duology, because I wish there was going to be more books. Leigh Bardugo's writing has improved so much. I already enjoyed her writing, but it has improved a lot in this book. You can tell that she's got some experience now under her belt, and you can tell it from this book. It's really good. If you don't like the Grisha trilogy, I've heard that a lot of people do enjoy this one, even though they don't like the Grisha trilogy, and it is a much better book in my opinion. I love a good heist, and it was an amazing book. If you haven't read it, I hope you didn't watch this whole thing because I don't want to spoil it for you. I hate spoiling books for people. But if you have read it, let me know what your favorite part was. Mine is probably the tank part. It was probably my favorite part of the book. It made me laugh the hardest. And if you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys later. Bye!